So continuing sectional for another item. So we've got this problem where people aren't getting what they are. You had black farmers that were owed $2.2 billion, got a judgment. And then the government says, oh, we're not going to pay it. And then you had people campaigning to say, hey, what's going on? Biden's campaign says, okay, well, we'll take care of that. So basically Biden wants to say, okay, we'll endorse you then. So then he gets into office, and again, these people are out there, and they're going, hey, we got another campaign going. Guess what? These people still don't want to pay us. $2.2 billion judgment, and they don't want to pay. So then this campaign's going, and eventually, because they start getting a little bit of media attention, the Biden administration says, okay, well, we're going to order that the first $1 billion of that money to be put into processing for you. Order it turned over. So there's a beginning, boom, But the thing is, it's like, wait a minute, excuse me, we have a judgment for $2.2 billion. And, I'm still remembering how this went down, I did put a little bit of time. I noticed this stuff, and I'm trying to keep it archived in some way, And oh, by the way, there's another factor too. When you get a judgment, from that moment on, 10% a year is the official legal interest rate, which means now you have to equate all this time that's gone on. So you have I think it was almost 3 years, I could be wrong, that almost 3 years had gone by since the judgment had occurred. So you figure that that's 10%, 30%. So 30%, just at simple interest, not compounding, just at simple interest, is, basically $640 million more, which means they're owed $2.8 billion. Over $2.8 billion. And then, so they weren't getting paid. They're still campaigning, going, hey, look, and they finally did, I believe they finally did get the $1 billion. And they're still campaigning, and I thought this was so chicken-esque, to fight and finally win and finally get a judgment, and then have the government say, we just don't want to pay these people. This is insane. This is insane for this to happen to people, for the government to do this. And I saw a piece in the media here a few weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you end up with, apparently, the Biden administration deciding, yeah, we're going to make sure that you guys get that payment. So they gave them a letter of agreement to pay them. So now they're going to go ahead and endorse the Harris campaign. And I think it's important to mention, because the reasoning behind this is pretty simple. These people were up front. Hey, we ain't voting for none of you. You're going to burn us and do all this other stuff. Well, we don't have to vote for you. And we can stand up and say, by the way, we're not going to vote for you. And by the way, this is what y'all did. So, this is important, but they're bringing it out that they're finally going to go ahead and pay them the rest of that 2.2. Yeah, says, well, he said, that we got we got it now. It's coming in. They've agreed to pay, so we got our 2.2. So, the thing is that there's still a problem, because you have to add like an extra I think it's almost 3 years into this. So they got $1 billion starting out, but they ended up being owed with the interest over $2.8 billion. And then they got one. So at that point they're owed $1.8 billion. And then we got, I think it's 3 years, another 3 years goes by. What's 10% interest on 1 point? Figure this out, 1.8. 10%, you know, that's $180 million. You know, 3 more years, that's you know, wow. Yeah, that's $0.4 billion. Again, they're owed $2.4 billion given their 10% legal interest. You know, and this is the way these things are supposed to work. And you know, so I'm going to still mention this because as far as I'm concerned, these people haven't been totally paid. You know, for people to get all the way to a win and get a judgment, and the government say, "Oh no, we're just not going to pay it." I mean, that's despicable. You know, they have to see this kind of situation. So, you know, so that's my updated point on this. That's my personal feelings, you know.